Hello and welcome to Mastering in the Box. In today's video we're going to take a look at referencing and how we can use referencing to create professional sounding tracks. Hello and welcome to Mastering in the Box. I'm your host Smudge, and in today's video we're going to take a look at referencing and the whys and wherefores and how we can use it to get those professional sounding tracks that we all yearn for. Now when it comes to referencing is so important when it comes to mastering, especially when we're all mastering in different environments and we need to know how our environment, our monitoring environment, translates to the real world. And this is when we can use referencing to our advantage to get those great sounding tracks that we all yearn for. Now in this particular video we're going to take a look at 5 benefits from using referencing in mastering and how we can use them to get great sounding tracks. So the inspiration for this week's video come from 2 sources. The first one being my good friend Daniel from the YouTube channel Dankle Rose, who asked the question, do I use referencing in my mastering workflow and what do I think about referencing? And secondly from the YouTube channel In The Mix, with Michael releasing a great video about 5 essential mastering tips. I'd highly recommend you check this video out and I'll leave links in the description down below. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the concept of referencing is basically when we take a project that is already finished, so this is a commercially released track, and we reference that track against the project that we're working on to try and highlight some areas for development within our own song. So one of the things that was really good about Michael's video was how he was suggesting the use of different reference tracks for the low frequencies, the high frequencies and the mid frequencies, and the whole use of the reference tracks is not to copy that sound, but it's to create your own unique distinctive sound that you are looking for, which is great advice. But I think we can take this even further. So in today's video I'm going to show you 5 benefits and how we can use referencing in a mastering workflow. Referencing benefit number 1 is translation. How do our tracks sound in the real world? So one of the things about modern music production is the fact that we really need to take into consideration the monitoring environment that we're in. We all have different considerations, whether we're working in a professional studio, whether we're working from a bedroom at home. We're all going to get different sounds, and that can be down to acoustic treatment or the type of monitors we're using, or it could be the fact we might be using headphones, and if we're using headphones, what's the frequency response on those headphones? Are we really getting the low lows and the high highs to really get a good understanding of the full frequency response? That may not always be the case. So what we can do is use reference tracks to really understand how other mastering engineers are crafting their songs, and we can start to take inspiration from those and compare things such as the low end. How does the low end sound on a professionally mastered track? What does the high end sound like, and the mids? Is there certain things that we can do in the mid frequencies? Are there certain frequencies we can take away, or is there a certain dynamic feature that we need to look into? And this is how we can use referencing to our advantage to get our tracks sounding like the professionals. Referencing benefit number 2. This is a really simple, straightforward one, but it's all about reacclimatising our ears. We can get so really involved into our music and we listen to the same track over and over and over and over again, and actually just introducing a reference track and listening to something different, just with certain maybe different frequencies, and it could be a bit more of a brighter track, it just enables us to reset our ears, and then we go back to the track that we're working on, we can go back to it with a fresh approach. Referencing benefit number 3 is all around training our ears, and this is just simply listening critically to different types of music. And I think it's one of those things that we take for granted. We put some music on and it just goes on in the background, but we don't ever use it to train our ears. And if we just really critically listen to different music, different genres, different artists, we can really start to understand how different sounds are crafted. And it could well be just something as simple as the correlation between the bass guitar and the kick drum. How is the maybe more the low mids when we're looking at the electric guitars, for example? Is an electric guitar, and how's the relationship between that and the bass guitar? And I'm looking at some of the high frequencies and things like the hi-hats. If we've got some hi-hats, and how does that sit with the vocals? And is the high end of the vocals, is there a lot of there at the top end of the vocal? And how does that sit with the cymbals and the hi-hats, etc.? Just really critically listen to different types of music and understand how other people are crafting different sounds and how we're getting that clarity. Is there a lot of dynamics in certain areas and how we can really develop the different sounds? But just critically listen and just take that time to train your ear, because that will serve you really well in the long term. Referencing benefit number 4 is a little bit different in the fact it's all about finding out how other artists and engineers balance tone. So this is less around the relationship between different instruments, but think more broadly about the low end or the high end and how different artists and engineers craft their songs. Is it more dynamic in the high end, for example, and is it more rounded in the low end? Is there much more presence in the low end, or is the bass frequencies more in your face? And what's the the dynamic differences between the low end and the high end and the mid frequencies? And what can we learn from other engineers and take those stylistic differences into some of our own learnings and develop our mastering further? And this is something, a real benefit that we can get from listening to reference tracks from other engineers. And referencing benefit number 5 is not about referencing other people's tracks. This is about referencing your own tracks. Listen to other projects that you have mastered. Is it your own music? How many songs have you mastered yourself? Listen back to some of the other songs that you have mastered in your own catalogue and just take away some of the positives. What is it you liked about those masters? What is it you did really well? And are you replicating that in your masters moving forward? What is it you didn't like about those masters? And have you implemented some new techniques to help develop you in your mastering techniques moving forward? Sometimes we get so focused on looking at that next project, we don't stop to actually consider what we've done in the past and review whether we can do that any better. Now, I'm a big believer in self-development, and one of the real good takeaways from my learnings over the years is an approach which I call, am I on par? This isn't about perfectionism, this is about achieving good results in the most efficient manner possible. Now, it's a three-pronged approach. It's all about planning, action and review, which is the PAR. Planning, action, review. When it comes to mastering, I never master without a clear plan in place. I listen to the music. What is it that I want to achieve? And I set a clear plan. And I'll break it down into low frequencies, mid frequencies, high frequencies, dynamics, and I'll set a clear plan. What is it I'm trying to achieve when it comes to mastering? Then I'll have a clear action in place. I'll literally jot down what is it I need to do to achieve that plan, and I'll make a note of all the different actions that I need to take to achieve that end result. Then once I've done it, I'll then review those results, and I'll literally go through and listen to what I've done. Is it achieving what I set out to achieve? If it's not, I'll go back to the drawing board. What else can I try? So then what action can I then implement to achieve what I want to achieve? And it's a continuous cycle and a continual development method. So when it comes to your mastering, just consider your planning, action and review. What is it you want to do? What is it you need to do to achieve that? And review it. Are you achieving what you set out to achieve? One of the things I want to give to you is a free download, and say I'm going to put this on my Facebook page, and it's a simple downloadable PDF. No sign up, no email addresses, nothing, and it's just a simple PDF which you can use. It's something that I use with all of my masters, and I literally just make notes, and it's make notes against the low end, and there's a plan, action and review column, and just make notes as you go through. And it's just a really good habit of getting into, so you can set clear direction and you have clarity at every single part of your mastering process. So that's it for today's video on referencing, and it is such an important topic when it comes to mastering, and I could talk about it for literally hours and hours and hours because there is so much that you can do with referencing. But seriously, give it a go. Just listen to how other people master their tracks and how you can take away some of those techniques and some of that into your workflow, because it will really elevate your masters to that next level. feel free to go ahead to the Facebook page. Just say there's no sign up or anything required. Just download it. It's a simple PDF document and just use it to scribble on and make your notes. Say just look at things in a more granular level. What's the low end? What do I need to do on the low end? Your mid frequencies, your high end, dynamics, planning, action, review. And by setting yourself a clear goal, you'll have more clarity in your mastering process. If you want to know more about digital mastering, then make sure you hit that subscribe button below and hit that bell and select all to receive notifications on all of our videos moving forward. And all that's left for me to say is I hope you keep safe and well, and I'll see you in the next video real soon.